And a lot of people, they struggle with digestive issues. We're going to talk about that today. A lot of the facts that we share may seem like bad news, but we're also going to be talking about a lot of good news that's based upon truth and how your body's actually designed, that you're designed to be healthy, and that's what's normal, that your body can heal itself as long as there's nothing interfering with that, and that you feel empowered to take control of your health, maybe for the first time ever. So I'm excited for everybody that's here today. I'm glad you took the time out of your day to invest in yourself. And this is one of my most favorite things to do. The real definition of doctor is teacher. So I've spent the last 15, 20 years learning everything I can about natural holistic health, how the body works, how to help people work through things that they've struggled with, how to get answers and solutions. And I've had the pleasure of teaching that to many people, sometimes rooms of hundreds, sometimes small rooms like this, many times one-on-one, and seeing thousands of lives radically transformed. So we know this stuff works. Many of you have already experienced this in your life. And it's just such a joy to be able to share it with you. And my biggest hope is that you take away what you learned today and you put it into action, because that's what actually creates results. Because all this information you can find in books, you can find it online, you can do research, you can do all these things on your own, but we don't have a shortage of information, do we? No, we have a shortage of action. And then we have a shortage of consistency, doing it long enough to where you actually see the benefits of it. And that's where we help. You know, our mission here is to be your guide in your health journey, where you're the hero of that journey, where we empower you to make better decisions for yourself, provide healthy resources, help remove the interferences that's keeping your body from functioning the way that it should. But it's really you that does the work. It's your body that does the healing. And every one of us has that inside of us right now. The best doctor ever lives right inside you. We just need to get everything else out of the way. So today we're going to talk about why people are so sick, why so many people are struggling, in pain, health issues, on medications, and why they're not getting solutions from their doctor, and the system designed to help us is actually failing us in many ways. And then how do you actually get your body to the point where it's healing itself again through holistic healthcare, right? Natural, working with your body instead of against it. Sound good? Yep. All right. So let's talk about the gut. The gut's really important. It's not just your stomach. It's not just your digestive system. It's an entire system from your mouth all the way through the end. A very diverse system that has multiple parts that has a huge, huge effect on how your body functions on a regular basis. Not just when it's not working well and you have symptoms or diagnosable issues, but many other things that you wouldn't even think of that were connected to your gut and digestive system. We have these little bacteria that make up the entire system that are our friends. These are symbiotic bacteria that actually help with the digestion process. Helps make up many of the chemicals and hormones that affect your mood, that affect your function in your body, that affect your immune system. Over 70% of your immune cells actually exist in your gut. We're going to talk about some great new resources to actually improve that immune function naturally. Who likes getting sick here? Nobody, right? I'm the same way. I want to do everything I can to not get sick, and it's not just about avoiding germs. It's not just about using antibacterial soaps and hand sanitizers. It's not about wearing a mask or getting injections that are supposed to block these things from getting to you. It's about building up your body's natural defense system, what's called your neuroinnate immune system, the system that's designed to fight off infection and disease naturally. You all have this. Some are stronger than others. The key is not to avoid or fear sickness. It's to strengthen your body so your body can better adapt and keep you healthy. We're going to talk about how that works today. And the reason why this is so important is because many people struggle with digestive and gut-related issues, and most don't even know it. Over 70 million Americans have diagnosable digestive disorders. This is not just bad luck or bad genes. It's not even just a trend, it's a crisis. Many of you may be struggling with digestive issues yourself, or you know others who are, and you've seen how devastating that can be when it gets really bad. But it doesn't start really bad, does it? No, sometimes it starts without any signs or symptoms whatsoever, and it builds up over time. We're going to talk about how to catch these things early before it gets really bad. And even when it is bad, what you can do about it. Now, most people in our culture here, when it gets bad enough that the symptoms show up, what do we typically do? Yeah, you go to your doctor, or you watch something on TV. It says, take this pill, take this potion, take this lotion. We have entire stores dedicated to this, right? Symptom management, disease management, that's outside in thinking. And the more you suppress the symptoms, your body's natural warning signs, your body's intelligence, what do you think happens to those systems in your body? Do they get better or worse? They keep getting worse because you didn't fix the problem. You just masked the symptoms. You just covered up the oil light. That's it. You didn't do anything to change that. So it creates deeper dysfunction. And that's the biggest problem with the common medical model is diagnosis, treatment, symptom and disease management, no solution, no cause, no health. That's what we want to talk about changing. And there's a lot of new things coming out where there's always a new drug, there's always a new system, there's always a new theory or a new test that's revolutionary and is going to change everything. And that's been going on for decades. Has our health gotten any better? Nope. What's actually happening? It's getting worse. Yep. Newer technology comes out every year. It's getting worse. Right? New drugs come out, say there's a shortcut to your problems. You don't have to do any of the work. Just take this injection and it fixes everything for you. But what are we finding now? Nope, not working. It's causing gut paralysis. It's causing gallbladder problems. It's causing hormonal imbalances. It's causing brain dysfunction. It's causing other issues. Because when you start to work with one part of the body artificially, other systems struggle too. There's always a compensation. There's always a side effect. I've been watching the World Series, and you guys watch sports, football games. What do you see? Every other commercial. It's like a drug ad that's on there. And it's always so sad when it gets to the side effects part, which is most of the commercial actually. And I saw one the other day that said, this isn't even all of them. So it's like, this is the only thing that we could list in this commercial in the time that we had, but there's a lot more that are actually on here. And they're usually worse than what they're actually talking about in that area. And there was ones that were talking about digestive disorders, and it was talking about how it could potentially kill you and all these other things going on. I'm like, wow, that seems really bad. Not really talking about cause or solution, not talking about answers, but that's what most people are getting, and therefore it's getting worse. So when we look at many common digestive problems, something as simple as reflux, right? They said, well, there's too much acid, so we need to lower down the acid. Antacids, we've all seen those commercials, whatever it is, the Alka-Seltzer, the Pepto-Bismols, all these things that are out there, right? Well, it's actually too little acid, poor motility, and dysfunction of the valves of your stomach. You think pills fix any of that?
Nope.
Nope, not at all. Then we have irritable bowel disorder. We have irritable bowel syndrome. We have many diagnosable diseases, but does that tell what caused it? No. Does that provide a solution? A lot of people feel better with the diagnosis, so they actually have validation of what's really going on, but is there a plan to get better? No, it's just, here's the treatment option, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Disempowering. So we look at the two systems, and the biggest key, if you're taking notes, you want to write this down, to changing your health is changing your mindset of how you view and manage your health. Because there's two ways to look at it. Most of us have been taught the allopathic model. This has been the model for the last 100 or so years, where it talks about medications. The body is a material entity. It's a sum of individual parts, and we have a doctor for each one of those parts. There is one cause to any specific disease, and the treatment is an antibiotic, an antiviral, an antipyretic, an antidepressant, treatment through pharmaceutical and surgical interventions. Will we agree this is what our modern medical system looks like? It's exactly what it is. You go to the foot doctor, you go to the heart doctor, you go to the endocrinologist, you go to the gut doctor, you go to the brain doctor, you go to the orthopedic doctor, you go to the eye doctor, every single one has a different part. And then every single time you're leaving with one of these options right through here. That's the mechanistic model. Then we have this vitalistic model, which has actually been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. If you look back to all cultures over time, they focused on this model. The body functions as a whole. And if certain parts of the whole are not working, there must be some cause and problem that's going on that we need to find and be able to take care of. Disease exists only in the absence of health. So the goal is to get you healthy again as a whole person, not treat the individual parts, not mask or manage the symptoms, but treat the cause by reestablishing physiological function in the body, using that innate intelligence that we're all blessed with for self-healing. Now, when you think about these two models, which one seems more empowering? Yes, right? So how come more people don't do that? It does take discipline. When you think about the hard, easy principle, this is something that changed my life. There is the easy way we can take. There's the easy way. Taking a pill is a lot easier than changing your diet. Taking an injection is a lot easier than exercising and having discipline, isn't it? It's way easier. But does it make your life any easier? Nope. It makes your life harder, doesn't it? Especially the longer you do it. Now, making changes in your lifestyle can be hard. It can be stressful. It can be time consuming. It can take resources of time, energy, and money to be able to do that. But when you're healthier, does your life become easier? Yes. Does everything else in your life become easier? Yes. When you have more energy and you have less pain and you're not going out to the doctor and you're not taking all these drugs with crazy side effects, it becomes easier. And once you're healthy, it's a lot easier to maintain that. But if you never do the work to get well, you're always going to be struggling. And that's what we really help people is bridge the gap from here to here. And sometimes there's a mixture of two in between here, but getting to the point where you're moving more to that vitalistic model. And that's what really gives you that freedom of health in your life. And this is explained really, really well right through here. You see, the medical model exists here on this left side in symptom and disease management. Symptoms, therapy, surgery, multiple medications, poor quality of life. It's just about symptoms. And maybe you get to the point where your symptoms are better and manageable. That's the comfort zone. But are you healthy in that zone? No, you're just surviving. You're just surviving just outside of this disease area. And what does it lead to? Premature death. 5 out of 6 deaths in America are caused by chronic diseases. 5 out of 6. Not old age, not infection, not starvation, chronic disease. Avoidable, lifestyle-related diseases that we're talking about today. This is the vitalistic model, right? This is optimal function, healthy habits, healthy body, wellness, lifestyle. So you get to choose. Do you want to live here or do you want to live here? Right? And that's the difference between the mechanistic model and the vitalistic model. So when we look at your body, symptoms are not normal. That's so key. Symptoms are not normal. Chronic fatigue, joint pain, hormone balances, sleep issues, mood swings, food sensitivities, diagnosable diseases, skin issues, brain fog. These are just some of the issues connected to a gut dysfunction that are not normal. So when you think about this, how many people struggle with fatigue in our country? Billion-dollar companies on energy drinks, Starbucks on every single corner, multiple medications and treatments for this. We wear devices. All these are billion-dollar industries to deal with the tiredness and fatigue. You get sleep, but you wake up and you're tired anyway. Well, if your microbiome is out of balance, you're not absorbing nutrients, and your mitochondria, which is your energy of your cells, did not have the fuel they need. So if you're not putting the fuel in your car, is it going to go anywhere? You're going to be tired. That's right. Joint pain. A lot of people suffer with chronic joint. Ibuprofen, Advil, Tylenol, all these things. Hundreds of millions of people taking these every single day to deal with the joint issues and inflammation. Well, when you have gut inflammation, there's these proteins that leak into your blood and they go to areas of weakness. So that old knee injury from football in high school, that shoulder injury that you hurt that one time, the spine problems, those areas, they start to hurt because these inflammatory proteins are coming from your gut into different areas of your body. Hormones, out of balance. Estrogen's high, progesterone, testosterone's low, things are out of balance. Well, if you're having mood swings, weight gain, fatigue, it could be that your gut isn't detoxing and clearing these hormones properly, because a lot of that actually starts in your gut. And if your microbiome is out of balance, your hormones are going to be out of balance. So if we start adding in hormones artificially, or we start treating the symptom, is that going to fix the underlying cause? No, which is why the struggles continue. Then you have how it affects your brain. So neurotransmitters, these are hormones that go into your brain that regulate mood. And when it gets out of balance, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, right? These are things that we get prescribed when someone has bipolar disorder, or someone has anxiety disorder, or somebody has depression. They get prescribed serotonin. They get prescribed dopamine type drugs where it either down regulates or up regulates it. Well, this is linked to your gut. They're even linking this to Alzheimer's now, that if you have gut dysfunction over time, it starts to degenerate your brain. And so now what do we see going up? Dementia, Alzheimer's at all-time highs. You see these centers popping up everywhere. It's because There's so much toxins in the body that your body's not able to reduce. What about skin issues? Acne, eczema, rosacea, psoriasis. What happens when you have those issues? You get creams, you get injections, you get steroids, you get all these other things, but is it addressing the real inside problem? The outer is a reflection of the inner. So we want to learn to stop treating the symptoms and start looking for what's going on the inside. What about brain fog? Clarity, focus, attention throughout the day, from childhood all the way through adulthood. This is another big problem. When your gut bacteria is out of balance, your hormones are also out of balance. So this is so key when we look at the immune system, autoimmune disorders. The list goes on and on and on. Your immune system is not weak. Your system designed to regulate it is not working properly. So I want to share some resources with you guys here today. When it comes to gut health, there's one company that I really like working with called Microbiome Labs. It's the most well-researched company that I've ever worked with. They have multiple people on their team constantly working on improving this, and it's all they do. Most supplement companies, they have all different lines for so many different areas. Microbiome Lab does gut health only, and they have some of the best stuff that's out there. Patented, scientifically studied. We know this stuff works. Something they just came out with is what's called Epic Defense. I'm really excited about this. So you have in your packet a flyer. This is very new. So we actually had our rep from this company bring these by here today and talk to you about how this works. So we mentioned in the beginning, 70% of your immune system comes from your gut. You guys remember that? You want to write that down. It's super important. So when we look at your gut, what's actually going on? This Epic Defense does a number of different things. It fortifies the immune function, and I'm going to show you exactly how this works. Consistently. So this is something that you would take consistently on a regular basis, just like you would take vitamin D or vitamin C or zinc or something like that to strengthen your immune system. But this is even more powerful because you're working directly with that innate immune system that is housed there in the gut. Regulates immune balance, supports respiratory wellness. This is going to be allergies, mucosal immune function. We're going to talk about this. Nasal airflow, seasonal challenges, immune signals, inflammatory responses. So you're probably wondering, well, what is all of this? So you look at how your gut works. We're going to talk about this as well. This is super important. You have this mucosal intestinal barrier. This is to keep everything out. So you shouldn't have any outside forces going in through your gut. It should be one closed system all the way from beginning to end. When you start getting issues in or out, it creates problems. Now you also have all these immune cells. These are the different types of immune cells in your body that exist in your bloodstream. So what this is what's called an immunobiotic. So these are probiotics and postbiotics that actually help to regulate these immune cells in your body. So your immune system is stronger and it's more adaptable to what you come in contact with. So you come in contact with a bad bacteria, you come in contact with the virus, you come in contact with a parasite or something else along those lines. Your defense system is able to work more effectively. And when you're able to create an effective immune response, your body's ability to adapt is enhanced. So instead of getting sick or having some issue that shows up, your body effectively fights that off and you don't know it even happened. Pretty cool, right? Mm-hmm. That's what our immune system is doing all the time. The only time you would be considered as sick is when your body gets overwhelmed. Your immune response is not strong enough to take on whatever you're exposed to or whatever you're challenged with. And this could even be advanced conditions like autoimmune disorders and cancers and other immune deficiency diseases as well. That's just a very extensive view of that happens over many years and decades. So when you look at how the gut actually works, as we talked about, it's one closed system. So everything passes right through here. And along this way, you're breaking down the nutrients in your food. You're absorbing nutrients into the different parts of your body. These are going to be your vitamins, your minerals, your proteins, everything else. And you're eliminating toxins from the system. So those are the three main functions of your gut and digestive system. And when all those three things are working well, your body's working well. Now, this is what your gut should look like. So this blue area, this is what's called your mucosal layer. So this is the outer part. And this is actually your inner gut lining. So this is what protects the inside of your gut from foreign issues, preventing inflammation, preventing gut damage. So when you talk about inflammatory bowel issues, it's when this inner part gets damaged because of things getting inside that are not supposed to. Now, also what happens is things go from in your gut to in your bloodstream, which is also not good. This is how you get inflammatory responses. This is how you get autoimmune disorders, because there are things that are not supposed to be in your bloodstream that are getting into your bloodstream that your body detects as a foreign invader, and it starts to stimulate that immune response. That could be something as simple as a food allergy. It could be as severe as Crohn's disease or other concerns along those lines. So we want to make sure this layer here is healthy. So remember this picture. This is really important as we go through what's going on. And when we look at this area here, in a healthy gut, typically these don't talk to each other. And one of the benefits of the immunobiotics is it's actually strengthening this in a healthy or unhealthy gut lining. So when we look at what's called leaky gut, so this is a key aspect we're going to talk about a lot today. And this is an issue that most people have and they don't really know about it. So first of all, what causes it? Antibiotic use. So this could just be like a self-assessment. You don't have to raise your hand or say anything along those lines. Have you had antibiotics in the last 2 years? If the answer to that is yes, you likely have leaky gut issues because it's damaging your gut microbiome, right? Think of taking weed killer for your entire grass to kill 1 or 2 weeds. How would that grass look? Not so good. Yeah, and if you just watered it next week, is it going to come right back? Nope. What do you got to do? You got to reseed the entire thing. That's what antibiotics does. I'm going to show you that reseeding process. How about stress? Anybody deal with stress? Emotional, physical, chemical stress. We live in the most stressful time in human history. So stress is a big deal. Smoking, excessive alcohol intake. That's more than 5 to 6 drinks a week. Poor diet. How's our standard American diet? Not so good. Most food comes through a window, in a box, processed, full of toxins. We're going to talk about that too. How about sugar? Do we eat a lot of sugar? Average American eats about 50 pounds of sugar per year. That's on average. Do we take a lot of over-the-counter pain medications? Yep, NSAIDs, ibuprofen. You had major therapies. You had autoimmune diseases, heavy metal exposure, pesticide exposure, infections. Poor motility comes back to your nervous system. So remember that picture we looked at before where we had that healthy lining and we had a healthy gut barrier? What do you see happening here? The lining is breaking down. The barrier is getting damaged. So what are you getting now? Inflamed cells, weak junctions. Now these pathogens and stresses are getting in and out. Things in your digestive system are getting into your bloodstream. Things in your bloodstream are getting into your digestive system, triggering the immune response, triggering inflammation, triggering breakdown. So this is what unhealthy looks like in your digestive system compared to this, what it's supposed to look like. Which one do you want? Healthy. Yes. How do you know? Good question. Some conditions that lead to this. What you might know when it's getting bad. Bloating, gas, heartburn, food sensitivities, irregular stools, constipation. So this is initially. If you notice this anytime you eat, you know that you have leaky gut issues. If your gut is healthy, no matter what you eat, you're still going to be able to deal with these situations. You're not going to have heartburn, bloating, irregularity, things along like that. The more often you have it, the worse it's getting. Now, if you leave it there, we don't take care of it, like we talked about, right? You just take the stool looseners, you avoid certain foods, you take the antacids, all these other things. This becomes Crohn's disease. This becomes arthritis. This becomes IBS. This becomes skin problems, dental issues, SIBO, which is bad bacteria overgrowth taking over your digestive system, psoriasis, depression, anxiety, heart disease, cholesterol, the problems build. That's why it's so vital to take care of this. So the key to this is the total gut restoration. This is also by Microbiome Labs. You have a sheet on this as well in your packet here. This is a really important one. You want to follow along with this. It looks like this. So it goes through the 3-step process to restore that gut lining. So we talked about weed killing the whole grass. Your grass dies. It's dead. It's not coming back. What do you got to do? Well, you got to go through a couple different processes. Number one is you got to reseed it again. the grass is dead. It's not going to come back. So you got to plant new seeds. That's what probiotics are. Probiotics are like seeds. Now, when you look at probiotics, there's a lot of probiotics on the market, right? You can go to the store right now. There's whole sections. There's the ones in the refrigerator. There's the ones on the shelf. There's the liquid ones. There's the pill form ones. There's the powder ones. Like, which one do I take? Most probiotics die before they ever get to your lower bowel where they need to be. So one of the things that Microbiome Labs has is what's called a spore biotic. So a spore biotic is like it has an outer protective layer that allows it to pass effectively all the way through your digestive system and get down to where it needs to in your lower bowel and starts to sprout out to create that microbiome. Studies from this show that it starts to reverse leaky gut symptoms and issues within just 30 days. Pretty awesome. So this is a key aspect for all of us. There's also some very specific ones. So a lot of people, they'll be taking antibiotics. They get prescribed antibiotics for this or that. They have a dental procedure. They have a surgery. Something comes up like, I had to take antibiotics. What am I supposed to do? Well, that's when you would go through and do these different ones. So HU58, what it does is it actually acts like an antibiotic. So if you have SIBO, you have bad bacterial overgrowth, you take this one here and your own natural bacteria fights off the bad bacteria. Really cool. Now, if you're taking an antibiotic, that's what would normally go in and kill most probiotics, you want to take this Restore Flora. So the Restore Flora actually goes in and is antibiotic resistant, and it goes in and helps to hyperseed the system. So if you're one of those people that says, yeah, I had antibiotics within the last 2 years or the last month or the last 6 months or multiple times, well, you want to start with the Restore Flora, and then you would go to the Megaspore. There's a chart in here that shows how all this works, and we can help you with this as well. If you know you have overgrowth of bacteria, you'd want to do the HU58, because now that's going to go in and kill off that bad bacteria and start to crowd it out. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So this is step one. This would be the reconditioning phase, right? We got to replant what you need. Now, once you plant seeds, what do you have to do? Yeah, you got to feed them. You got to water them. You got to put fertilizer. You got to get food, all that good stuff. So a prebiotic is like a fertilizer. That's the second stage, reinforcing the growth. So now we're feeding the good bacteria. And what this prebiotic does is it also further starves out and crowds out the bad bacteria. So we're feeding the grass and starving the weeds. Right? That's what we want, without having to kill the entire grass. That's the idea of how you use these. So what they notice when you're starting to do this, you decrease your visceral fat. It starts to change that gut-brain connection there because now you're building up that good microbiome. And then the third phase, this is the rebuilding phase. Remember that blue area here? Right? When you have leaky gut, that blue area is gone. That's your mucosal layer. So that's the fence. That's the outer protective area. So now that we're really rebuilding the inside area, we need to rebuild the fence, right? So now you don't want anybody to come and step on your grass and do things to your grass, so you put up a fence. So that way it stays healthy. That's what the mucosa does. Mega mucosa. That's phase 3. So what this does, it starts to bind to toxins that damage the lining and rebuilds that mucosal layer. Now, if you're having any type of infection type issues, you have allergies, you have food intolerances, you have autoimmune disorders, you would also take the Mega IgG. So the Mega IgG is part of your hyperallergic response. So when you have allergies, whether that's seasonal allergies or food allergies, whatever it is, that's your immune system overreacting. So what this does, it helps to balance out that immune function when it comes to the allergic response, right? Because it comes as this IgG through here. So when you go through and you do this 90-day protocol, it helps to take you from this back to this again, getting you back to that healthy gut, which is super huge. And during this time, we're also getting out pathogens, we're crowding out bad bacteria, and we're getting that gut healthy again. Does that make sense? I didn't lose anybody? Pretty simple, right? 3 steps, and it all comes in one package. So when we look at the benefits of this, less gas, less bloating, more regularity, healthier skin, better mood, better oral health, better cholesterol, better digestion, better mental function, better immunity. So when we looked at the other list, how many people want to see improvements in these areas? I know I do, right? Very important. This is a difference. You could treat every single one of these issues individually, both medically and even holistically. But what if you could address all of that just by getting your gut healthier? And this is a great way to be able to do that. So if you know you've had any of the stresses we talked about that's affected your gut, you're experiencing any of these symptoms or even stronger problems, probably time for a gut restoration. In fact, I'm going to do this again because life is stressful. And stress is what causes these issues to come up. So the total gut restoration comes in a 90-day kit like this. You do the sporobiotic for 90 days, the prebiotic for 60 days, and the mega mucosa for 30 days. That's that entire rebuilding process. And so normally that's $360 here in the office. We're doing a discount for this workshop only, 15% off, just $306. So if this is the area that you need to work on and it's time to recondition and restore your gut, you want to go through and do the leaky gut repair. This is a great place to start for any digestive issues or any of the other problems that we're talking about because you're fixing the problem first. Before we go some more of the advanced protocols, I always like to start with this one because it handles most of it. And if this still doesn't fix your issues, it means you have more advanced conditions which are also going to require some of these. Does that make sense? Okay, so I want to talk about this one too, because a lot of people have digestive issues and they're like, what should I do? So we have two easy resources for you to help you understand which protocol is going to work best. So you have this one here, right? That's what's on the right side. And the top part talks about some of the issues you may be experiencing. So getting gas and bloating, constipation or diarrhea, food sensitivities, struggles with nutrient absorption, backflow, that would be considered your heartburn, overgrowth of bacteria. Well, here's some potential benefits that you could get. There's also another new product called DigestMate that comes from Microbiome Labs. I really like this one because it's a two-part. It has probiotics and it has digestive enzymes. So it helps with your primary and secondary digestion. So when you start eating food, it starts to break down in your mouth. That's the first part. And then it goes to your stomach. When food goes to your stomach, when your stomach's working properly, it breaks down the food into easily digestible particles. Now, if the primary is not working, that's when you would get issues with heartburn. That's when you would get bloating. That's when you get gas. Because now you're sending undigested food down into this area here. Now, the stomach has the stomach acid. It has different areas that breaks the food down, but your lower intestine is not designed to do that. So now if you have partially or undigested food, it creates an inflammatory response. It makes it very difficult to digest your food. You're not going to absorb the nutrients. It's going to be more difficult to go to the bathroom, and that's when you would get irritable type of an issues. So that's where this can really help. So taking the DigestMate helps with the primary digestion, and it also starts to rebuild that gut microbiome. And then as it goes through, it also talks about, well, you're likely going to need mucosa. You're going to need HU58, mega IgG. So these are easy ways to look at what you may need to do. And this is how I help patients all the time. It's like, let's start with these areas. And for most people, 80% or more, doing that for anywhere from 30 to 90 days solves a lot of those problems. And then when you go through the health aspects we're going to talk about the remainder of today, you're not going to recreate the problem. Because that's a lot of the issues too, is even if you did all this, but you didn't change your lifestyle, what's going to happen? It's just going to come right back. Yeah. It's going to come back again. You're going to have the same problem 6 months from now, or 8 months from now, or a year or 2 years from now, because you didn't actually change what caused it. So this isn't your fix-all thing. This is to get your body back to where it can be healthy again, and then you modify your lifestyle so it stays that way, and you're not recreating the issue over and over again. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm not saying, oh, this is the solution to all of your problems. This is only one part to get you back to where you need to be. And this other area here too talks about the probiotics. And we kind of went through exactly how that works. So this would be what is in each one of those and why you would take each one. Most people need the Megaspore. Some people need the HU58. And Restore Flora is anytime you're taking any kind of antibiotics or have taken them recently. And again, we're here to help you with these things. Don't think you have to figure it all out. And the best part about all this is the stories we hear from patients and the success that it has in their life. This was a patient that's been coming in for chiropractic care for a long time that struggled with IBS symptoms, that struggled with digestive issues, that struggled with brain fog and fatigue and irritable issues, diarrhea, constipation, food intolerances. And we tried a lot. She'd went through and done many of things that others have. But when we talked about doing the gut repair, the 90-day gut repair, it made a difference. First month, started noticing changes. Symptoms improved, felt more comfortable going out again. After finishing the 90-day, actually passed the tapeworm. And then the bloating and the digestive issues and the brain fog started going away. Things started changing for the better. By the time we completed the protocol, felt like myself again. Brain fog lifted, could focus so much better, more energy, felt lighter, no longer afraid of how my body might betray me in the middle of a gathering or of an event. Back to living a social life. Right? How frustrating is that, going out somewhere and not knowing what's going to happen? How am I going to feel? What's going to happen? Not being able to trust your body or have control over what's going on. This is a reality of so many people. Many of you may be experiencing this right now or know somebody else that is. And after years of going through, and this is a healthy-minded person, but just wasn't doing the right things. That's why we have these advanced protocols to be able to do this. Because when you do this and your body heals, amazing things start to happen. Because this is what's normal. This over here, not normal. So now that we have some of the solutions, we want to talk about the lifestyle changes that keeps your body healthy. That's what the 5 Essentials is all about. This isn't a treatment plan. This is a lifestyle plan. This is the holistic health model that we talked about from the beginning. And when you live this way, you have so many less issues because you're minimizing the stress your body has to deal with. So these 5 key essentials is how we live our life, and this is what we teach here in our office. And this is the foundation of everything. So we're going to talk about this today. Number 1 is chiropractic care. Now, does that mean it's because you got to have a healthy back? No. It's because your spine surrounds and protects your nervous system. And your brain is what controls your body. Your brain can only communicate to your body through your spine. It happens no other way. And your spine is what regulates that communication from the brain to the body. So if the spine's not healthy, what happens to the brain and nervous system? Not healthy. The gut-brain connection literally starts with the spine. You cannot get information to your gut without going through the spine first. And every single part of your body works this way. Every cell, tissue, and organ. Right? If we severed your spinal cord right up here, what happens? Everything else below dies. You don't just lose your function. One of the best examples of this ever was Christopher Reeve. Remember that? Superman? He broke his neck at the top part of his neck right here. He was paralyzed. But do you know what else happened to him? He couldn't breathe. He had to have a respirator. He couldn't digest food anymore. He had to have people actually push things through his intestines. He had to have a colostomy bag. He aged like 30 years in about 5 years and then ended up passing away because his body was literally shutting down. Right? He didn't have a lung problem. He didn't have a heart problem. He didn't have a digestive problem. Right? He had a nervous system problem. Now, that's an extreme example. He damaged his spinal cord significantly. But what if we had stress or pressure, interference, affecting that every single day? That's coming from your spine. So scientists have known this for years. Doctors have been studying this for decades. We know without a doubt, 100%, the quality of your health is directly proportional in the capacity for your brain to send and receive signals through your nervous system. 100%. Nobody is going to say, nope, that's not true. The nervous system has no benefit. It's not important. Now, there's different theories about the spine's role in that and how you take care of it. In fact, chiropractors are the only doctors trained to deal with spine and nervous system issues. Right? No medical doctors really trained to be able to do that. So when it comes to how your nervous system works, you have this autonomic balance. It has 2 parts. So part of it is how your body adapts under stress. So when you have too much stress, this is called sympathetic dominance. This is most people. You're stressed all the time, and your nervous system gets in this hyper response. That's called sympathetic dominance. So this can create diarrhea, IBS issues, can create sleep problems, can create irritability, anxiety. It can create pain, focus problems, neurodevelopmental disorders. These are common. Now, when you leave it here for a long time and your body's just stress for years. What starts to happen? Eventually those systems, they start to wear out. And that will be called low parasympathetic. Low parasympathetic is more advanced issues: constipation, depression, hormonal imbalance, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, thyroid damage, adrenal fatigue, brain fog, immune compromise, mood, memory, autoimmune. These are more advanced conditions of these, because now the nervous system is not in hyperdrive, it's not even functioning anymore. Systems are just shutting down. Your body's not able to respond to what's going on around you. So when we look at your spine, we're not just looking at your back. People think of chiropractic as back problems, back pain. But really, if you have a problem with your spine, that is a health problem. So there's a chart in your packet as well. That's why we give you a packet. Page 3, or 2, depending on what packet you have. Looks like this. Has a big spine on it. This is your guide to how your body works. You guys all want to have one of these. You actually have 24 segments of your spine. And every level controls something different. So when we look at the lower back, so it's going to be the bottom section down in here, the L section. Well, the L section affects your intestines. It affects your digestion. So you can have skin conditions, gas pain, constipation, dysentery, diarrhea, cramps, varicose veins, bladder problems, menstrual problems, irregular hormones, back pain, sciatic pain, poor circulation into the legs, numbness, tingling, so many problems, all from these areas, right? And you would think of like, well, what does my spine have to do with my digestive system or my hormones or the nerves to other parts of my body? Well, that's exactly where it comes from. So as a corrective care chiropractor, this is what we look at first. This is why this is essential number 1. Right, get to the source. The source of health and function starts right here in your spine. So if you're having any of these problems at all, the first place you want to look for is the source working properly? That's number 1. And if we find subluxation, a misalignment of your spine that's interfering with this nerve supply, we know that's a contributing factor. And many times the root cause, what's actually going on. So many people have had their health issues resolved just by improving the health of the spine. Now, there's different ways to look at chiropractic. This is key as well. So there's 2 models. There is most chiropractic, which lives in that mechanistic model, where it's about pain relief. It's symptom management. Many of you have probably been to chiropractors like this before, right? You go in, where does it hurt? Let's see if we can get you in less pain, do whatever available possible, come back when it hurts again. Does anybody experience that? Yeah. I know I have. The first chiropractic office I worked in was like that. And I almost wanted to quit. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do every day, is I'm just managing people's pain and complaints. 90% of the day was just, it hurts here, it hurts there, this is back again. I'm like, nobody's getting better here. Everybody's coming in with the same stuff every single day. We were billing insurance. We were seeing people on the same day. We weren't doing specific reviews for everybody. There was no plan. It was just like, oh, looks like you're in pain. Let's see what we can do. Let's check you back in about 6 visits or so. Your insurance covers 12. Let's go from there. Nobody was getting better. Some people got pain relief, but nobody was healing. I was like, this is frustrating. I went to another chiropractic office doing what we do here. They were doing corrective care. Didn't bill insurance, long care plans, consistent care coming in multiple times per week. 90% of that day was people doing well. On wellness care, I'm so much better now than when I came in before. My problems are so much improved. Things like you see here in our office. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I got into chiropractic for, to change people's lives. And I immediately switched. Left this place over here, went to this place. The problem is 90% of chiropractors or more are still in this model. So people they hear about these things like, oh, I'm going to go see a chiropractor, right? So they just go to the one that's closest to their house. They go to the person on their insurance plan. They go to the person that's cheap or convenient with their schedule, and they get pain relief care. And then they're frustrated that they don't get the outcomes that they want, or they get temporary relief and the problems come back again. So that's why we do things differently here. That's why we do x-rays. That's why there is a plan. That's why there are regular evaluations. That's why we hold you accountable to showing up to your visits, because we want to see people actually get better. And that only happens in this corrective model. See, this pain relief model lives on that left side of the chart, never actually getting better. Maybe pain relief at best. Where this model, the goal is always optimal. It's always as close to that optimal as possible, and that never ends. I plan on getting adjusted for the rest of my life because I want my spine and nervous system to be as healthy as possible. And then I take care of everything else as well. And here's why. This is so key. Feeling versus function. How much of your body do you feel like you actually can sense and feel on a regular basis? What do you think? 20%, 50%, 5%? 10%. That's right. 10% of your nervous system you feel. So if we're still living in that model of symptoms and you only feel 10%, what happens to that 90%? How bad does that 90% have to get before you feel the 10%? 40% loss of function or more. 40% before you feel neck pain, back pain, nerve pain, digestive problems, headaches, fatigue, brain fog. 40% loss of function before you feel the 10%. So if we live in the 10% and the 60%, what does that do for your long-term health? Not good. That's why staying under care is important. And we get this. You know, when you go to the gym, if you worked really hard for 6 months and you got super fit, could you just quit exercising and maintain that? Not at all. Within 1 month, when you went back and you worked out again, how would you feel? Yeah, you'd be like, man, I lost so much strength. I'm super sore. I can't even do close to what I could before. If you followed a diet and lost 20 pounds and you were eating really well and you had full of energy and you just went back to pizza and beer and McDonald's and donuts, how would you feel? Would you maintain your progress? Absolutely not. If you went to your dentist office and you went in, great checkup, no cavities, everything's clear, no problem. And you're like, great. No more brushing my teeth, no more flossing, no more paying attention, right? And you went back 6 months later. How would that look?
Bad.
Yeah. Like, what happened here? You stopped working on it. What about your spine? If you get to the point where your spine gets healthier, it's more stable, the structure's improving, you're not in pain anymore, and you stop working on it. You stop getting adjusted, you stop doing your home care, what's going to happen? Yes. We get into other areas of your life. Why does that not make sense to your spine? Why does that not make sense? Would you ever say to your dentist, man, your dentist just wants to collect more money from you, keeps asking you to come back? Those floss companies just want your money, keep flossing your teeth for the rest of your life. No, because that's what you need to maintain it. Your spine is no different. Chiropractic is a long-term thing when you want to be healthy. And the research shows that too. We talk about this study because it's the most comprehensive study ever done in long-term care. 7 years. How easy is it to follow around people for 7 years? Not so easy. 7 years, hundreds of people studying them. When one group went to their doctor for regular checkups, the medical system. One group went to their chiropractor as their primary care provider. You think there was a difference between the two groups? Yes. Here's the difference. 60% less hospitalizations in the chiropractic group. 59% less days in the hospitals when they did go, and 62% less surgeries. Who loves going to the hospital? Nobody. Me either. Who can't wait for that next surgery? Nobody. One person. Who loves taking drugs? Medications, over-the-counter prescribed? No one. 85% less pharmaceutical costs. Coolest part about this story, the chiropractic group spent 30% of the average of medical care than the primary doctor group. So they saved 70% on their medical care year over year. People say chiropractic is expensive. I got to cut costs. What is it actually costing you? Your health and 70% more in medical expenses. Because how cheap is it to go to the doctor? How cheap is your insurance plan? Yeah. How much do those injections and surgeries and medications cost? A lot. A lot. Trillions and trillions of dollars every single year. It makes up almost a fifth of our entire GDP in this country is medical care. 1/5 of all the money we spend is on medical care, managing sickness and disease. Where you could save a significant amount of that. That's why it's important to stick with it long term. And that's why it's essential number one. Now, the other part is nutrition. You got to feed your body. Now, are you living to eat or are you eating to live? Talk about this all the time. When you think of nutrition, is it a reward? Is it a punishment? Is it discipline? Is it fuel? Is it health? Is it life? How do you actually view what that is? Are you restricting yourself by not eating certain foods? Are you rewarding yourself by eating certain types of foods? Do you have certain mental or anxiety issues around food? So many things that happen into this nutritional component. What you eat affects your digestive system and your body significantly. So when we look at some of the top damaging areas in your diet, we already talked about some of these. One is alcohol. I think everybody knows it's not great for you. Right? Most people use this in some way or the other. But no, the more you have, the more it damages your gut. There's no doubt about that. This is another big one. Sugar. Talked about sugar and how damaging that is. And artificial sweeteners are actually worse for you than sugar. So now so many people are pre-diabetic or diabetic. We're going to do a whole workshop about that next month. 2 in 5 Americans at least are pre-diabetic and don't even know it. Another third are already diabetic and taking medications or managing that. And it all comes back to sugar. You ever look at those like diabetic low sugar foods? Look at the ingredients. It's all chemicals. It's horrible. It's all artificial sweeteners, which are damaging to your nervous system, damaging to your gut. Gluten and GMOs, damaged seed oils. These are all your processed food oils. This is your canola oil. This is your hydrogenated vegetable oils. This is your sunflower oil and your safflower oil. That's all the stuff. Corn oil, that's in all the healthy, low-fat foods. It's all the damaged oils and fats that damage your gut lining. And conventional dairy products. So conventional dairy is very difficult to digest.
Sugar-free, but alcohol sugars can be listed as sugar-free on the package.
Yeah, which is
alcohol sugars are actually the worst.
For sure.
So
it's alcohol.
I just learned that off of the.
And that's the thing, is there's so much labeling that goes into it, especially when it comes to genetically modified and what's actually in your food. There's debates about this all the time, and there's a lot of reasons why. We don't really need to get into that today. But you have to really do your research and understand. That's why it's best to always look for as organic and natural as possible. That's why we use Farm Fresh to You. You go to farmers markets. You order from places where you know what it is that they're doing. The bigger the business is, typically, the worse that it is. And there's like these giant food conglomerates now that are doing all the processed stuff and all the unhealthy foods. So here's why GMOs are so bad for you, is because they have glyphosate. So glyphosate actually goes in and kills your good bacteria, because at the source of it, it's a pesticide, right? So it's designed to take on an extreme amount of pesticides. That's what GMOs are, right? They become resistant to pesticides. That's how they're designed. And so imagine that. You have a plant that can get 10 times more pesticides than it should without dying, and then you eat it. What does that do to your gut? Not good. Not good at all. And what it does is it allows the bad bacteria to thrive. So think of your grass again, right? So now we're starving out and killing the good grass. What happens to the weeds? The weeds start growing. The weeds start taking over. And once the weeds start taking over, the grass keeps dying more and more and more. Leads to dysbiosis, leads to digestive issues, now been linked to cancer, brain issues, Alzheimer's, so many other things. But they're still available today. They're still in a high amount of your foods. That's why eating organic is so important, because you want to minimize the herbicides and pesticides. You want to get non-GMO everywhere you can, so you're avoiding that glyphosate. You're not putting the junk into your body. You want to get more gut healing foods. So there are foods that actually heal your gut, like bone broth. Bone broth is amazing. It's full of collagen. Collagen is part of what makes up your gut lining. It reduces inflammation. It helps detox your body. So you want to get this. You can do it as simple as chicken or beef bones. You know, we all know what bone broth is and where it comes from. We use bone broth supplements here in the office that does the same thing and has a protein that's built into it. You want to eat pre- and probiotic rich foods. So these are going to be your fermented foods, the one that nobody eats anymore. This is your sauerkraut. This is your kimchi. It can be things like kombucha, minimizing the sugar. Anything that's fermented. lots of healthy fats, lots of clean proteins, cruciferous vegetables, lots of fiber, zinc. These are going to be your foods that grow in the ground, right in the soil, where you get magnesium and zinc and iron. It happens in the soil. So that's why eating healthy organic foods is so important for you, because you're getting that nutrient density in there. You're getting the digestive enzymes that exist in the dirt and in the earth. When you start to cook off all that, when you start to process all of it, when you're spraying it all that good stuff dies. The soil dies, everything becomes super unhealthy for you. Get rid of the processed foods, your damaged oils, canola oil, soy oil, corn syrup, vegetable oils, hydrogenated oils, horrible for you. This is how you protect your gut. And then we have plans for nutrition. Just like you have a plan for anything else in your life. Do you have a plan for your nutrition? What you're going to eat, how you're going to eat it, when you're going to eat it, what's in your food, what do you buy, all that. So we have 2 plans that we help people do here in the office. The core plan, this is when things are already doing well. This is like your maintenance wellness plan, where you want to get lots of healthy fats from their natural source. You want to get healthy, natural animal and proteins. You want to make sure that you're only getting whole and ancient sprouted grains. So this isn't going to be your Wonder Bread. This isn't going to be your hot dog buns. This is going to be those things. It's going to be natural. It's going to be sprouted bread. It's going to be sourdough breads, things like that, ancient grains, quinoa, amaranth, stuff like that. Variety of fruits and vegetables, ideally through the seasons. You're not supposed to eat strawberries all year long or apples all year long. There's times of the years where it grows here locally. That's when it's going to be the best for you. When you start to get it from Guatemala or Mexico or Hawaii or who knows where, right, you're losing a lot of the nutrient density because it took 2 weeks to get here. It took a month to get here. So that nutrient value is going down the longer that it's there. And always plant-based carbohydrates. We don't want those simple carbohydrates. All the snack foods, that's just sugar. It just becomes sugar right in your body. Now, there's also a healing plan, the advanced plan. So if you're in a spot where you're already struggling and you have issues, we want to remove a lot of that. So we're actually taking out a lot of the grains and the carbs and even healthy sugars that come in the forms of fruits, because your body needs time to heal. You need to take some stress off of it, right? You broke your ankle, right? Exercise is good for you, but not when your ankle's broken. So you got to take some rest. Advanced plan is rest. Rest for your digestive system. Give it a chance to be able to heal for a while. Do the 90-day gut protocol. Do the advanced plan during that time. Don't add more stress onto the system. Give your body a chance to be able to heal. And the biggest thing that most people don't have is healthy fat. Fat is so important. It makes up your cell membranes, makes up your brain and nervous system. It's your primary source of energy. When you can take yourself from a sugar burner to a fat burner, your entire physiology changes. The problem is we all consume way too much sugar in processed foods, so you don't use the fat for energy. And the advanced plan helps be able to do that. So these are just some of the things that fat does in your body. Works with your cells, absorbs nutrients, protects your organs, regulates hormones, lowers inflammation, helps with your brain. Pretty important?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're eating non-fat, low-fat diet, what happens to all this? Yeah. 100%. Now, sometimes you need to do that for a short period of time to get your body to reset, but it's not a long-term thing. And not everybody can even do that. Now, you may be wondering, how do I do all this? That's what I often get when I go and I learn something. If it's new or it's complex, like, how do I do all of this? So Max Living, we're always working on being better. So the most recent resource is this 5 Essentials of Real Health book. Now, what I like about this book is it actually goes through and talks about the current health paradigm and why it's not working. And it talks about the difference between the mechanistic and the vitalistic model of health. That's the first few chapters. So we're setting the intention and mindset before you even start. And then it goes through each of the essentials in depth and how you can start changing your life. And not just information. The entire second half of the book is the appendix, which is how do you apply these things? How do you eat the core plan? How do you eat the advanced plan? Like, well, I don't know how to do that. There's over 50 pages of recipes right in here. All the foods that you like and are used to in a healthier form. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
How to shop at the store, what ingredients to look for, how to search through your personal care products, how to start changing things in your environment, all right here in this book. So this is an amazing resource. If you don't have this book and you want to be healthy, make sure you're picking this up. It has the nutrition plans, it has the recipes, it walks you through step by step on what is each of these essentials, how do you apply it into your life. This is basically like a how-to guide to be healthy. The next one is mindset. So we spent a lot of time on mindset today, because if you don't change your mindset, nothing else is going to change. That's why that's so huge. And this is the one that gets ignored a lot. So when you do your FSA, the FAST FSA, you're going to see each one of these. For a lot of people, it's mindset. Right? They don't have a plan. They're overstressed. Their sleep isn't good. Their energy is not good. And stress is a key indicator of your digestive function. So we want to talk about that again. We're going to go back to those two systems, the sympathetic and parasympathetic system. So stress would be considered your fight or flight system. That's what it's called, right? So stress response is supposed to happen when you're in danger or you need to spend a lot of energy quickly. So your body, being extremely intelligent, does what it needs to do. So it shuts off a number of systems in your body because it needs maximum function, right? Divert all attention to the primary shields. So it puts this up, right? So it increases adrenaline. It increases your heart rate, increases your respiration rate, changes your vision, sends more of the blood to your muscles so you can act and react immediately in a stressful situation. It also turns off your immune system, turns off your digestive system, stops digesting food, stops absorbing nutrients, stops producing hormones completely in your body. Now, in that moment, that's what your body needs to survive. That's what it needs to function at that time. But because we live in such a stressful life now, we're stuck, right? That was that high sympathetic. So it's churning off all those systems in your body. And you wonder, how come I'm not digesting food? How come I'm eating right and I'm not losing weight? How come I'm still in pain, although I'm doing the right stuff? Well, it's because you're still stressed all the time, and that hasn't been addressed, and it's putting your body in the sympathetic state. Now, the parasympathetic side, this is when everything calms down. Heart rate lowers, breathing rate lowers, immune system goes up, digestive system starts working again. Right? Your body calms down. We want to spend most of our time here. This is growth, this is potential, even sleep. So many people are stuck in here because they're watching the news right before they go to bed. They're checking their email, right? They're doing what they just had a big meal. So the body's working on breaking all that down. So you're actually taking your body out of this growth, repair, digest, healing phase. And that's why the nervous system is so important. And there's many ways to tap into the nervous system. Chiropractic is one of those ways. Mindset, there's lots of things you can do. We call this peace management. What's your peace management plan? Just like you would have a plan for your fitness or your nutrition or for your chiropractic care, what's your mental health plan? Do you journal regularly? Do you utilize meditation? Do you utilize breath work? Do you talk to a therapist for old emotional issue that's going on? Because you know that sits in your body. Those emotions, the trauma, the past things that have happened to you, that sits in your nervous system and it festers and it builds disease in your body. So important to let that go. Got to let that out. Sometimes we adjust people for the first time and they cry. They have emotional issues. They have all these crazy things that's been built up in their immune system their nervous system, and then poof, finally it's able to come out. And they're like, man, things are so different now. You start thinking differently. You start showing up differently. You're nicer. You're more patient. It's because you're coming out of that sympathetic dominance back into this other side here where things can get imbalanced. So this is huge. This could be something as simple as going outside, walking around in nature, watching a funny movie, reading a good book that you enjoy, hanging out with friends that are a positive influence in your life, praying. There's so many different ways to tap into this, but do you have a plan for this? Is this part of your lifestyle plan? If it's not, highly encourage you to start adding that in. And you'll notice over time, you're just going to feel more at ease. You're not going to feel as stressed. You're not going to feel as reactive. You're not going to feel as angry. Or things might just start feeling better for no apparent reason. I'm noticing I'm less tense, less in pain. My digestion's getting better. So for some people, this is the missing essential. You've been getting adjusted. You're eating good. You're cleaning out your body, but you still got to deal with the mental stuff. Super important. Got to take care of it. Exercise. Your body's designed to move. Your digestive system is a moving system, right? From chewing to digestion, it's pushed through your body through movement. So if you're just sitting around doing nothing, what happens to your digestive system? It slows down. Just 3 hours of sitting drops digestion by 30%. You're at work, you have a big old fat lunch, you go sit for the next 3 hours. Wonder why you don't feel that good, right? Versus go take a walk, go do some movement, hit the gym, exercise. So important. Got to keep your body moving because movement helps improve detoxing, helps improve your digestion, helps improve your hormones, helps maintain muscle mass, which is really good for your brain and for your energy. It gets your cells moving, helps to support the health of your spine. Exercise is one of those things that you just can't skip. These are essentials, right? These aren't like the 5 recommendations or the 5 shoulds. They're essentials. You really need to be doing all of them, and there's no skipping steps when it comes to these things. So if you're currently not exercising regularly or you don't have a plan for your exercise, this is a key aspect that you want to start working on, right? Some sort of movement every day. That could be going for a short walk. That could be doing some light calisthenics. That could be doing some band work or some weights. It could be a sport or activity that you enjoy. Whatever it is, got to get your body moving on a regular basis. If it's even just switching from a sit to a stand desk, so you're standing up more and using your body, it's going to make a difference for how your body works. So I'm not going to tell you how to exercise or what you should do, but just that you want to be able to move your body more often. And if it's difficult or it hurts, which happens sometimes, we can help you work around that and find something that does work. And the last essential is all about avoiding stress, and that's toxins. So that's another form of stress, chemical stress. It's around us all the time. We talked about the processed foods, the herbicides, the pesticides, the antibiotics that get put in food, the hormones that get injected into food, everything. It's all there. So that's why organic matters. It's not just some foo-foo thing. It matters. Organic makes a difference because it's minimizing that toxic stress. We have enough toxins around us already. Why add more in? You can't control all the things that happen. We have environmental toxins. We have toxins you were exposed to even before you were born from 2 generations prior. Could be sitting still in your body. You can't control all of that, but you can control whether you smoke, whether you drink, the food that you eat, the products that you use, the water you drink, all that. You can control all that stuff. So minimize the stresses that you can control so the ones that you can't control have a minimal impact on your health. Does that make sense? Yep. That's so key. Minimizing this. Minimizing medications, antibiotics, antacids wherever you can. Minimize the gut-destroying foods wherever you can. Incorporate fasting into your life. This is your natural detoxing, cleansing out damaged cells. And we've talked all about fasting in different workshops. We're not going to go into that a lot today. But something as simple as a 12-hour fast, going from 8 p.m. at night to 8 a.m. the next morning, can help your digestion and help with the detoxing process. So it's important to give your body that rest that it needs. We also want to talk about autoimmune issues because a lot of these herbicides, pesticides, the glyphosate especially. Glyphosate is specifically shown to tear holes in that gut mucosa. So remember we looked at that gut lining and that blue layer and then the barrier? Well, this here, if you're eating standard grains, if you're eating food that ate standard grains, you're getting glyphosate. And that glyphosate is getting in your gut and tearing it apart, creating leaky gut problems. So if you eat conventional food, you know you have a leaky gut problem because you've ingested glyphosate. And so what that creates over time is autoimmune and inflammation. So pesticides activate the gut immune cells. So what your body does, it's like, hey, this is a foreign thing. These pesticides are bad. We need to attack this. Now, if it's just in your gut, it's going to have minimal effects. But if it goes into your bloodstream, now your body kicks in that response. Or you eat certain types of foods that are not supposed to be in your bloodstream. Well, that gets into there, and now you have a hypothyroid problem. Now you have joint dysfunction. Now you have psoriasis. Now you have an inflammatory bowel disorder. Now you have Alzheimer's, right? All these things start to happen because now your body's attacking itself. That's not normal. And what is the medical response? Weakens your immune system, right? So if you have a hyperimmune response, like an autoimmune disorder, it's lower your immune response. Think that could have some side effects? Yeah. So they say during that time, you're more prone to infections, you're more prone to cancer, you're more prone to all these other things because your immune response is lower. So you're actually weakening your body to manage a symptom that's being caused by lifestyle. So that's the key aspect of changing that. So you have another resource. Rather than go through every toxin that you don't want, you have a chart in your packet here that says top 22 toxins. Now there's more. And when you read the 5 Essentials book, there's a whole chapter on toxins. There's a whole section on how to avoid these toxins in your life. That's why you want to have this resource. But this goes through which ones you want to avoid. So look for these in your food. Look for them in your personal care products, your cosmetics. Look for them in your cleaning products. Look for it in your soap. Look for it everywhere. Everything that has an ingredients list, you want to look for these things and avoid them as often as possible. And the good news is there are healthy alternatives and they're readily available. You just got to know what to look for. So here's the reason why. Look at the toxic burden that we're under. 4 billion prescriptions per year in the US alone. We take 50% or more of the drugs and 5% of the population. We have 70,000 chemicals that are approved for commercial use. 70,000. Another 3,000 plus that are approved to be put in our food supply as normal or acceptable. How much poison is acceptable? Who gets to decide that? Well, just a little bit, not that big of a deal. Just a little bit. Right? If you ingested just a little bit of poison each day, what's going to happen over time? You're going to get sick. You're going to die. Right? You're not going to die tomorrow. It's not going to happen. Now you take that whole bottle of Clorox and pound that thing, yeah, you're going to die. But it would just take a little teeny bit. This is the acceptable amount that we say is okay for you each little day. Well, in 10 years, you're going to be sick. In 20 years, you're going to have cancer. In 25 years, you're going to have an autoimmune disorder, skin problem, something else. Why not just avoid those things wherever we can? 5 to 100 times more toxic inside. We're about to go to that time of year. We're inside a lot. Have you changed your air filters? Have you changed your HVAC filters? Have you changed your car filter? Right? You're going to be in this enclosed environment where it could be up to 100 times more toxic. Have you checked for leaks so you don't get mold and other issues? This is an important time. Make sure you're doing those things. It's very simple to take that filter out, put a new one in. Seems mundane, but it's important. Take that thing out and it's like black, right? We've all been there before, like, ooh, this was a little overdue. Yeah, I've been there before. I forgot. Now it's a good reminder. Go clear that out before we go into this inside season for the next few months where you're not getting as much fresh air. There's also foods you can eat that are good for your gut. Cruciferous vegetables mostly. Garlic, onions, mushrooms, collard greens, cultured foods, fermented foods, bone broth. We talked about a lot of these. Are these in your diet regularly? Well, we got one. How can we add more? What if you ate at least one of these every single day? Right, just part of your nutrition plan. Yep, I've got cauliflower in today. I'm going to add some garlic to that. We're going to throw some onions in there. Let's make sure we're getting our fermented foods. Throw some sauerkraut on top of that. Get it in as often as possible. Feed your gut. Detox your body. And there's nutrition that helps with this too. We've been talking a lot about the foundational 3. I still think this is the best support you can get nutrition-wise when it comes to supplementation. And it covers all the bases. So we talked about digestion. Right, this is most of what you need, supporting your digestive organs, getting multiple different strains of pre and probiotics in there on a regular basis. So this is your regular nutrition plan. Sometimes you need more advanced plans. If you're currently struggling with a digestive disorder, make sure you're taking some of these advanced protocols from microbiome labs. But once that's better, you want to move to the foundational 3 because this is your consistent support, supporting your digestive system year-round. 24/7, so you get healthier. Same thing with inflammation and immune support, right? We constantly have stresses on our immune system, joint pain, autoimmunity, allergies, chronic inflammation. Don't want to get sick this winter? Make sure you're taking the nutrients that you need. Make sure you're minimizing the sugar. Make sure you're strengthening your gut bacteria. That's the real key, not getting your flu shot, not getting your COVID shot, not avoiding everybody, not washing your hands 1,000 times a day with antibacterial soap or carrying around that little thing of Propel and putting on your hands every time you touch something. That's actually killing your gut microbiome and making your immune system weaker. It's having the exact opposite effect. Every single one of those things. And then cellular health. Cells make up everything. Low energy, brain fog, burnout, metabolism. This is what supports that. Cellular health and longevity. So you're supporting every major system in your body through the foundational 3. That's why I love this. I've been taking this every day since I got it. Makes a big difference. Right? This is part of your support. You're investing in your health now so you save on medical spending later. This is also discounted. 15% off today. We want you to have the resources you need to be healthy. So all of the microbiome products are 10% off. The gut repair and the foundational 3, 15% off. We only have so much available in office today, so make sure you get what you need, but you can order as much as you like, and we'll get it for you. Set yourself up for the rest of the year, right? We're about to come into the most stressful, worst diet, least amount of exercise, most toxic time of the entire year. This is where people gain the most weight, more people die this time of year, anxiety, depression goes up more than ever, medication use goes up, everything goes up this time of year. Make sure that you're taken care of. Be proactive, not reactive. And all this is part of our mission to help make America healthy again. We've been doing this and teaching this now, me personally, for over 13 years. 15 years if you add in the time I did before I came here. And we've been talking about this stuff for a long time. Right? These principles, they don't change. But now people are starting to catch on like, well, maybe these things aren't so good for us. Maybe the food dyes and all the pesticides and the GMOs and all the vaccines and all these things, maybe they're not so good. Maybe we should exercise a little bit more and clean up our diets a bit. Maybe this is a good idea. And we got some people pushing that in the right direction. So we got this MAHA movement now happening. It's like, let's make America healthy again. Isn't that a great idea? Yeah. Right, you think about that. We're talking about how taxes are so high and expenses are so much. 20% of our money goes to medical care. 20%. They don't care. What if we could even save half of that, right? And $2 trillion goes back into making our lives better. That'd be pretty awesome. I think we would do something with that. But it doesn't happen if we don't all start making part of this. So some of you here today are guests. You're not a patient in the office. So you want to listen to those warning signs. Are you getting those warning signs? Are you getting headaches? Are you getting hormone problems? High blood pressure? You're on a blood pressure medication? You're on a high cholesterol medication? You're on diabetes medication? You're on a medication for an inflammatory problem? You're taking over-the-counter drugs? You're taking NSAIDs, Advil, Tylenol just to get through the day or a few days a week? You notice that you're not focusing as well. You're not sleeping as good. Your allergies are kicking up this time of year. You're getting sick more than you should. Your kids are getting sick more often. They're getting ear infections. These are all signs that your nervous system is overstressed, not adapting. So the first step is to take care of essential number 1. Before you go buy a gut repair, before you buy foundational 3, before you go and do anything, you got to take care of the source first. The spine and nervous system. This is where it starts. Right? You can't get better if that's not there. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you schedule your initial health evaluation. This is where we actually go through and evaluate your spine and nervous system for subluxation. Remember this chart we had here? The spine picture? Right? If you want to go to that and the different areas of your body, wouldn't it be nice to know that every part of your body is functioning optimally? And if it's not, that's the root cause issue. If your light goes out in the house, where's the first place you should look? The fuse box. Yeah, go to the breaker. You could change the light. You could take apart the wiring. You could do everything. And it's like, how come this darn light isn't working? I've done everything. And then you go to the fuse box. Oh. And everything works again. See, the medical system is the light bulb and the wiring and the manifold and everything else along the way. Chiropractic is the fuse box. Let's go to the fuse box. Is that flip turned off? Oh. So what we call power's on. Boom. And it starts working again. Like, oh, the light went on. Sweet. But then what happens? A big form of stress comes. Boom. Goes out again. What do? Go back to the fuse box. Oh, yep, there it is. Turns it back on. Boof. Comes on again. Right, it keeps happening. You might wonder why. Man, is there something wrong with this system along the way? And then maybe you do build up the system. Maybe we do need more wiring because this is like from the 50s. So it's continually overwhelming the fuse box and it keeps going out. Maybe the fuse box is 50 years old and that needs to be replenished, right? So there is definitely other things, right? But you always go to the source first. And if you go to the source and it's like, nope, that's good. Okay, great. Let's work on the rest of the system. But that's key. Let's start with the source first. So if you're a guest here today, which means you're not a current patient in the office, your first step in your health journey is scheduling your new patient appointment. And you actually have a paper in your packet, looks just like this. It says the 5 Essentials examination. We have times this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, for each of you to come in for that. Okay, very important. Now, normally this is $199 for your initial evaluation to go through your spine and nervous system. We're doing this at no cost for this month only. If you were referred in here by another practice member in honor of 130 years of chiropractic care, we're doing the initial evaluation at no cost, but only if you sign up today. So it's important that you schedule that first appointment for yourself to finally get to the root cause of the issue and make sure you have a plan for your health. Now, here's the key aspect. Don't wait for a crisis to force action. What did we say at the beginning? What creates results? It's action, right? If you don't take action on anything you learn here today, is anything going to get better? Nope. 100%. Now, do you have to take action on everything right away? No. We don't expect you to do that. But what if you just change one thing today? Or maybe 2 things improved a little bit today. And then next month you worked on something else, and the month after that. That's why it's important to come to these workshops regularly. That's why we print a weekly newsletter. That's why we have resources like this. What if you just focus on applying one essential this month, and then another essential next month, and another essential, and you build upon that? Where could you be in 6 months? Where could you be a year? You just got 2% better this month. What would you be next month? Right? 2% better. This is the time of year where I always hear, I'm going to wait till next year. I'm going to wait till next year to start working on this. I'm going to change my diet in the new year. Is that going to happen? Nope. If it's not important now, is it going to be important then? Nope. If you don't make the time now, are you going to make it then? Nope. If you don't make it a priority in your finances now, is it going to be important then? No, it's not. Something else is going to come up. There's going to be another issue, another limiting belief, another reason why you don't get there. So don't wait for symptoms to show up. This is one of my most important favorite quotes I've ever seen. When you have your health, you have a million dreams and goals, right? Everything is possible. But when you don't have your health, you have just one. Just one wish, just one goal.